Yeah, if you want to be right there. I can hear you.
What's that? Okay, can you hear that? Everybody is indicating.
Okay. I think we're good. I'll stay out for the first 15 minutes at least and make sure that all the audio is there. I'll come out. If it seems like it's all good now. Cool. Yeah.
Hello, check. Hello, calling all candidates. If you wouldn't mind coming to the front here, we'll have a little huddle before we get started. All the candidates for the 4 positions. Thanks.
Just take that A and O.
So you two are, Right? County Commissioner, position 3. Okay, so thanks for coming. And this is basic hour that you've done before here, but gonna do the order. Bonnie Gray. Yes, sir. Bonnie Gray. You and before that. Okay. Okay. We'll do it that way. And then, we have a time for you, and we all go into it. Scroll down to the yellow side. She holds up the red flag and so, start with you. And we're going to go to you'll have yes, that was our we're going to go to let's say it's a use of activity. So for something else, it's the same. We indicate that by raising our hand. Okay. Right, and one of us should have we also have that's about it. We got a few more minutes to be brief. Thank you. Thank you. Questions?
Okay, everybody, let's get seated so we can start. Thank you, Val. Well, I can do that. Good evening. My name is Terry Dixon, and I'm with the Twisp Valley Grange, and all of our members welcome you here tonight to this forum. Originally, the forums were put on by the League of Women Voters. There was a chapter here, and it disbanded, and the Grange took over putting on the forums. And the League is a nonpartisan political organization that believes and encourages informed government, so that when you vote, you're an informed participant in government. And so the Grange is nonpartisan, but we are not political. But we do believe in having informed elections. And we really hope that tonight's forum helps you with your decision on who you vote for. So our moderator tonight is George Snyder, and we've had him moderate several times, and we ask and beg for him to come and be the moderator. So I will, turn off your phones. And with no further ado, I will pass it to George.
Thank you, Terry. I'm going to sit, as will the other participants. Welcome, everybody. Good evening. This is, as Terry said, a tradition now here at the Grange to bring candidates who are running for local, county, statewide races to in front of the community. And tonight we're going to have a forum that relates to 4 different races. The state District 7 House race, the county commissioner position 3, the public utilities district commissioner, and finally the county coroner. And we have representatives for each of those. The election, of course, is going to be next month in November. I want to thank, first of all, you all for being here, and particularly to the members of the Grange for hosting. They are also the folks responsible for the treats that you see, in addition to Blue Star Coffee, who supplied the coffee. In particular, Val Hecker, who's also our timekeeper, and Wendy Braden, who's hiding back there, are the coordinators tonight, who did a lot of work to make this happen. Simon Wendell's helping us with a live stream, which I'll talk about in a second. We have Steve Dixon and Susan Ernstorff behind the scenes, compiling questions for the candidates. And finally, we have Zoe Kaltenbach in a blue shirt back there. She is collecting questions from the audience, and we'll talk about that in just a second. The other big thank you is to the candidates themselves for putting themselves out. It's a lot of work, often thankless, to not only to run for these positions, but to serve in these positions. And I'd like to give a warm round of applause for the candidates. We plan to go to 8 o'clock tonight. We have a strict timekeeper, and we'll get started very shortly. We're live streaming on Facebook right now, so hello to folks out there. We also will be having that recording available for some time on the Grange's website and on their Facebook page, so you can revisit this. What we're asking of you here in the audience is to hold your displays of approval or disapproval for the candidates, except for the applause that you just gave for them stepping up. And also, we'd like you to think about any questions that might be burning in your mind. If you have a question, we have note cards that Zoe's passing out. Raise your hand if you need one. Raise your hand if you have one that's filled out. She'll come by and bring it back here to our question people. There's simple rules to make the forum run smoothly, and when we get to the question and answer session, and this is them, we allow opening remarks of 2 minutes. Then each question, we allow the candidate 1 minute to answer. A candidate is allowed to have a rebuttal, which they can use up to 30 seconds for a rebuttal. They can do that twice in the evening. If you see somebody raising a ping pong paddle, it's because they have a rebuttal. And then they'll have closing opportunity to make closing remark for 2 minutes, right, Val? 2 minutes on closing? Yeah.
1 minute.
Oh, 1 minute on closing. Okay. We're going to begin this evening with the candidates for State House District 7. One candidate could not be here tonight, and that's Jacqueline Maycomber. She had a family emergency, but she did submit a written statement that Terry, I'd like to invite Terry to come back up and read. And after that written statement, Lonnie Ray Williams is here in person, and we'll give him the opportunity to have a 3-minute statement as well. So Terry.
Thank you for being here tonight. I, Jacqueline Maycomber, am excited to tell you today my HB 1536 Apprenticeship in High Schools bill has a legislative work group and tour of trade apprenticeships. This is great news for the future of our children's education. What drove me to run for office is my desire to make sure our children have the same opportunities we did, from education to economic freedom. My top priorities are making sure our families can afford to live in their homes, feed their families, and are safe from rising crime. I am a proven fighter for decreased taxes for working families, economic development, and affordable health care. As a mother, I adamantly support parental rights and the best education and economic opportunities for our children. Our natural resources and agriculture economies must be protected. As a former law enforcement officer, I support our first responders and veterans. I grew up in 7th District and have seen the influences of Olympia's tyranny increase in the last few years and now affect every aspect of our lives. Next year, we will see the implementation of the low carbon fuel standard that will increase our fuel costs an additional $10 per tank of gas. The CARES Act that forced people to buy insurance or have an income tax on payroll is returning this year. The decriminalization of drugs that has resulted in an epidemic of drug use and mental health crises and homelessness must be fixed this year. In my short time in office, I have been successful in passing many pieces of legislation from veteran to first responder support, insulin, $100 a month to small business access to credit. I have received numerous recognitions. Washington State Department of Veterans Affairs Legislator of the Year 2020, National Federal of Independent Business Guardian of Small Business Award 2022, Washington State Council Police and Sheriff's Legislator of the Year 2019, National Rural Jobs Coalition Legislator of the Year 2019, Council of Metropolitan Police and Sheriff's Legislator of the Year 2018, Hunters Heritage Council Legislator of the Year. When you grow up here, you understand the value of hard work, family, and community. I bring a warrior's spirit and a servant's heart to Olympia. I, Jacqueline Maycomber, ask for your vote.
Thank you. Again, that was Terry Dixon, not Jacqueline Maycumber. Okay, Lonnie Ray Williams, also a candidate for that seat.
First off, thank you, each and every one of you, for showing up. Showing up is the most important thing that we can do. Right now, our country needs us, each and every one of us. And the most important thing we can do is show up. I remember when I signed on the dotted line when I was 17 years old and signed up to join the military. And then 12 hours after graduation, I was on the plane to basic training. I wanted to serve then, and I continued to serve throughout my career. I was selected for the Presidential Honor Guard and served 2 presidents. I worked in the Emergency Operations Center in Fort McNair and learned way too much about our world at a way too young age. I continued to serve in various forms throughout my community after the military and in federal service. The most important duties and the most important service that I've done is actually later on in my life, and that's to my community in writing about our Constitution. My family and I started a publication called The Pamphlet. You've probably seen it around town. It's published in all 50 states and 56 countries. We talk about liberty and freedom. We talk about our founding fathers, and we talk about individuals like Sybil Ludington, a 16-year-old girl who rode twice as far as Paul Revere. Not to minimize Paul, we just want to be inspiration to our children, because the secret in preserving this republic is in our founding fathers. Those liberties and the responsibilities are what we must teach the children. And that's why my #1 priority is to ensure that parents are the primary stakeholders of their children's lives. That means that you have the right to raise your children in your own ways, your own faith, and your own culture without government interference. What's more common sense than that? My #2 priority is make sure that education dollars follow the student. We spend $18,000 per student in this state, and every time the money goes up, our test scores have gone down. I want to make sure that $18,000, or as much as we possibly can, goes to the individual parent to decide where it goes. Public school, private school, charter school, homeschool, co-op. Ultimately, parents want their children to be educated. They want them to receive a world-class education, and we want to empower them to make sure that happens. The third most important thing that I want to promote is feeding our country. We are in an agricultural district that has over 1 million acres of just straight farmland. There's no reason we should be suffering through a food crisis right now. It doesn't take a bill in Olympia. It takes common sense to get our commissioners together, our farmers together, and say, hey, Bill, you're having trouble with your hay because you can't get tires. You can use my tractor. We'll make sure it gets in. This is called community. And right now we need to rebuild our communities. We need to get back together in our communities. And that's the type of leadership you can expect here, is to bring us together. So I'd invite you to take a look at me and my campaign. LonnieRayWilliams.com is the website. There you can find all the positions I'm standing at. I'm a staunch conservative. I stand for the Constitution, and I stand for your rights. And I believe in true representation. And I thank you for your vote.
Thank you, Lonnie Ray Williams. So I'd like to invite the candidates for PUD Commissioner to come up. That's the incumbent Jerry Osmussen and Joseph Enzensperger. Well done. Okay. Okay, have a seat. We're going to start with 2 minutes of opening remarks. Jerry, if you could start, your mic might need to be flipped on. There's a switch.
There it is. Okay. Thank you again to the Grange. My name is Jerry Osmussen. I'm an auctioneer and a rancher from Tenasket. I'm married for 39 years to my wife, Anita, and I'm 61 years old. I have 2 degrees from Washington State University, one in agricultural economics and one in animal science. I'm the current PUD commissioner serving District 3, the north part of the county for the PUD. This is the end of my first term. I also represent the PUD on the Energy Northwest Board of Directors. I serve on the Okanagan Conservation District Board, appointed by the Washington State Conservation Commission, and I volunteer my time on the Hamilton Youth Foundation Board, which benefits the youth of all of Okanagan County. Prior to serving on the PUD board, I was on the Tenasca School Board for 20 years. And this board service has given me a lot of experience with large budgets, setting policy, evaluating executives, working with other board members, and mostly listening to the public to see what meets their needs. In addition to that, I've volunteered throughout the county, mainly at auctioneering events of auctions for benefits or for fundraisers. I also worked at the Cheesaw Rodeo as a judge and the county fair and many other things wherever I can help out the county, because if we don't volunteer, we don't have a community. And by having worked and volunteered all over Okanagan County, I've worked with and for people from every corner of the county, from Wakanda to Pateros to Belvedere to Winthrop. So with that, I want to continue to be your PD commissioner and work on providing reliable, reasonable, low-cost power for the community. Thank you.
Thank you, Jerry. Joseph, 2 minutes. You can stand, you can sit, dance, you name it.
So my name is Joseph Hensensberger, and I'm a candidate for PUD Commissioner. The reason I want to take this role on is because I feel the urgency and the need for change in the direction of our utility, and in fact, the challenge of all utilities across the country. We face a real crisis in the coming climate change, and we have to respond to it rapidly and aggressively. We need to decarbonize the way we live, and that means utilizing more clean electricity to power our lives. We have many poor people in this county, and as a commissioner, I would like to help them find the means to lower their electric consumption. That means energy efficient appliances, heat pumps for heating. It means insulation and windows in the poorest homes in the county. It does no good for some of us to live efficiently if the rest of us are struggling with poor heating and inefficient housing. So I would direct a lot of my attention to helping to bring the rest of the county into a very energy efficient manner. That is our greatest source of energy. It is more potent than any powerhouse we could create. The energy we save is the energy we need to go forward in the future. I would support rooftop solar energy. I think it's a great addition to our grid. It gives us sustainability and reliability. And I would support the training of new contractors. We need a new generation of contractors to install this distributed energy technology. We don't need it coming from outside the state. We need it right here at home. Just like my residential plumbing business, if you live in a community, you're there to answer the problems when they arise. And that's what I would support. I think the PUD has a powerful role to play in increasing the economic strength of Okanagan County. We can do it through job training and through making available to our people available federal funding, grant funding that will help to buy heat pumps for poor income people. And all of us, actually, there's $8,000 available federally right now in the Inflation Reduction Act. So I would go after that money, bring it to our county, and make Okanagan County an efficient and green energy county in which to live. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Joseph. That mic is very hot, by the way, so you probably can. Okay, Wendy's on it. All right. Okay, we're going to go to the question and answer. Again, 1 minute with an opportunity for a rebuttal. First question, I'll go to you, Joseph. And I generally won't repeat the questions for the other candidate unless you ask me to, okay? How should the PUD prepare for the challenges of a changing climate? It will be hotter with more demand for air conditioners and will likely have increased damage to power transmission lines by disasters such as fires and wetter snowfall.
What the best way to respond to the climate challenges is to make our residences and businesses more energy efficient, reduce our consumption of electricity on a normal basis, and we'll have more available when crises arise. When there are high temperatures, we'll have enough resiliency and capacity in the grid to meet those challenges without overloading the system. I think this heat waves is a great place for solar energy to augment the power that we have. And by increasing their solar energy, I think we're going to help us to prepare for those emergencies when they arise. We could put more power lines underground. They're more resilient. And if you're a resident in an outlying area and you have a solar system in your house and you can back it up with a battery, then when the fire takes out your feeder line, you still have power to run your pumps and create water to defend your home.
Or not. To prepare for the changing climate and in case of heat waves and fire, the most important thing is for the PUD that I believe is to maintain our current systems, harden our current systems, because if we don't have our systems, they can't provide the power to the people, and to invest in future technologies which will provide additional power to our community, because as the mandates are for more and more electrical use, if you look at what it takes to power an electric car for every household in the county, it will double our load in the county. So with that, I think that's what I have to say on that.
Okay, thank you. Next question goes to Jerry first. What are the constraints and opportunities for the PUD to invest in new sources of energy generation, such as community solar? What other potential new sources of energy generation, such as small nuclear or wind turbines, do you think are economically feasible?
The constraints are the complexity of the power grid within the Western United States. It's all intertied, and BPA has the most control over how the power is allocated. If you put more power on your system, then they take away from your allocation from them. So it's demand driven. You get what you're allotted by based on how much you use. We attempted a community solar project. We had 50% of it financed for low income people, and we could not get enough subscribers to invest into the community solar project that we had. And then we will continue to look at any new technology. I think storage has opportunity because our biggest peak need is in the wintertime when there isn't the amount of solar that we need. And Okanagan County has an ordinance against nuclear power.
Okay, thank you. Same question, Joseph.
Well, I think the energy is out there. Renewable solar energy is a viable consideration. As far as powering our cars, if you have a solar panel on your roof and a battery storage system, you can plug your car in at night and it's not drawing from the grid. I think we also have a tremendous amount of reserve through a power sharing agreement with Grant County, Douglas County, for a larger portion of Wells Dam power. So I don't think that here in the Okanagan County, we're going to face any shortage of electricity. We've got that capacity at Wells and we can draw on it if we need it. I think nuclear energy is not really proven, and small nukes are, in my mind, something that we still haven't got a handle on. I still worry about the power we have at Hanford and the waste that's been generated.
Thank you. Jerry had a 30-second rebuttal opportunity.
The rebuttal I have is we do not have an agreement with Grant County at all. You said Grant. And our contractual amount is with Douglas is constrained by we have to grow that load. We can't save our way into that load.
Okay, next question is first for Joseph. The Enlow Dam has not produced power since 1958, but continues to block passage of fish and ratepayers continue to pay for dam upkeep. Although dam removal is challenging, dams on other western rivers have been successfully removed. Do you support removal? And if so, what actions would you take to expedite the removal of Enlow Dam?
Yeah, I absolutely support the immediate removal of Enlow Dam. There's a tremendous amount of funding available right now if we take advantage of it. There's 800 million set aside in federal dollars for removal of derelict dams on federal land, which Enlow is. It would be a great relief for the ratepayers and the utility to be divested from Enlow, and we could turn that site into not only a viable steelhead run, which would economically benefit the entire county, but we could turn the old powerhouse into an amazing visitor center that people could come to and understand and appreciate the history of the site and the dam that was built there. But it's a dam whose time has passed, and we need to recognize it for what it is, an obsolete concrete structure, and work with the funding available immediately to have it removed.
Jerry?
I feel that it is, a case by case, as you look at the ability to remove Enlow, it is a legacy asset for the PUD, which we have chose not to license. But until the economics work out for the ratepayers of Okanagan County, I do not see that we should burden our up and downstream neighbors with those costs.
Okay, thank you. A rebuttal?
I don't know what upstream and downstream neighbors costs you're talking about. If we work with agencies, if we work with the tribe, if we work with BC governments, I think it can be a shared responsibility, and once gone will be a burden on no one and a benefit to all.
Okay, the next question. Access to inexpensive broadband internet is critical for our small rural communities to stay competitive and for online education. Do you have a proposal to make connecting to high-speed internet affordable for our families and businesses? Jerry?
The broadband is, again, a very complicated question. Most of it has been built through grant procedures because it is so expensive. The PUD continues to search for grants so we can enlarge our footprint of the broadband system. But with the complicated grant programs, the last USDA funding cycle, there was not a single grant awarded in the state of Washington. We don't know where that problem is. And on the state side, any incumbent provider can file an objection to your grant application. So we've diligently filed for our grants. And I see that as the way to reach the people, because we have people that don't have any internet versus the people that are getting the grants in some of the larger metropolitan areas that they're trying to get 100 megawatt internet.
Thank you. Joseph?
I think the problem is, as Jerry said, the PUD has provided the base for the internet system, but the providers of the internet are private parties. So we sell wholesale to them, and they set the rates and they determine how far they're going to go with that service. So we're in a little bit of a bind there. I agree, we need to get more funding so that we can expand the fiber optic network throughout the county, but we also need to cooperate and have cooperation from these internet providers that are selling it to the customer on the retail level.
Okay, thank you. We have another question. If elected, how would you go about ensuring ratepayers are listened to and that the PUD commissioners are responsive to the concerns of ratepayers? Joseph?
I would recommend that PUD meetings be held in the evening when more working people can attend. Right now, they're at 3 o'clock in the afternoon on a Monday, and I hardly know a working man out there or woman who can make those appearances. It's good that they're connected with Zoom, and I think that should be continued. I also believe that you gotta be in your office and you gotta be able to handle calls. And if I was elected commissioner, I would spend several days a week in the PUD office, taking and responding to the calls of my customers. And when a city government asks me to come and give a presentation on a particular subject, I will be there. I will be available and I will be responsible to the needs of the ratepayers, doing everything I can to meet their needs as a commissioner.
Thank you, Jerry.
Currently, I have my phone number listed in the book. It's my personal phone number is on my cards. And I have answered every phone call that I have received since I've been a commissioner, and I continue to do so. I will talk to people on the street. I will talk to people whenever they ask me to. I listen to that. I take notes every time. I bring it up at every meeting. That way it is conveyed to the other commissioners, because one commissioner cannot act alone. They have to work in concert with the other commissioners in a congenial manner. If you upset the other two, you're likely not to get much done. So you have to be able to work with the other commissioners to bring forth the issues that the public has brought to you.
Okay, thank you. Next question to Jerry first. How should the PUD plan to source 100% of its electricity from renewable or non-carbon emitting sources by 2045 as required by Washington's Clean Energy Transformation Act?
As in all economic situations, it's the last little bit that is hardest to achieve. We are currently sourced at over 90% of our power is carbon free. We have our hydro sources. We have Nine Canyon wind. And currently we are looking at those sources as they become available, whether they be solar storage or contractually nuclear maybe, to meet that remaining small portion of our load.
Thank you. Joseph, same question.
I would add to the source of energy we have from the Columbia River, our hydroelectric power plants. And I think that solar is really the way to go. You look across the landscape, we have building stock everywhere, private residences, businesses, warehouses. Those with good exposure should be solarized, and that should be tied to the grid. I think we can expand on what we've done. I think community solar projects at every substation would be a really good idea. And there's federal funding available to pay for 25% of that infrastructure. I think we should start with one and go from there. But I think the sun is really our source of energy that we should be looking at most strongly to meet those energy needs.
Okay, thank you. We have one more question before the closing remarks. Joseph, you take this one first. Should the PUD continue as a load following customer of BPA when the contracts come up for renewal in 2028?
Absolutely. I think BPA is a partnership that we should maintain, and we should look to BPA for some of our guidance and leadership. BPA is all about energy efficiency and helping to improve that throughout our district. I think we should be good customers to BPA, and we will put us in a good position to negotiate our prices in 2026. We can't do without the federal government. We can't do without BPA. I think we need to work with them as willing partners and do the best job we can to get the slice of energy that we need for our communities from BPA.
Thanks, Jerry.
Currently, I think we should remain as a load following customer, because it helps meet those needs, but however, it exposes to tier 2 prices, which can get extremely burdensome for a small utility. As we get closer to 2028, there are opportunities to enlarge the amount of power we get out of Wells project, which is currently cheaper, but it's a small project and you don't know how those costs are going to be controlled. So I think it's one of those things we must be diligent and continue to weigh all the information, because as you go to the BPA provider of choice meetings, the discussion is being driven by larger utilities who don't necessarily have our best interest at heart.
Okay, that's all the questions we have from the audience and from collected previously by the Grange. So 1 minute for closing statement. Joseph first.
Well, certainly, electric utility is a very challenging area to be involved in. And I want to bring my best ideas and the best information possible to the Grange board. It's the only way we're going to find the solutions to the problems we face. I plan to do research, work at it very diligently, do my homework so that when I come to a PUD meeting, I have good information to share with the other commissioners. I think a commissioner needs to listen to his community and also search broadly for any opportunity to bring energy and resources here to the community. Cooperation is where it's at. We live in a community and we all have to work together to reach the goals that we have for the future for a carbon-free electrical energy supply.
That's it. Thank you very much. Oh, Jerry, sorry. I jumped the gun.
And I again encourage you to vote for me to retain me as your PUD commissioner. I have developed a set of skills that works very well with a policy-driven governance model, which the PUD is, where we set policy and hire and retain our chief executive. In my experience, I have hired the current GM for less money than we were paying the previous one. We've reduced one administrative position. We have upgraded a number of our older transmission transformers, and we are working diligently to upgrade and repair the older parts of our system that were really built a significantly long time ago. There are a lot of 70-year-old poles standing out there that we rely on, and through maintenance and strategic replacement, we've been able to keep the system going. And with that, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Jerry Osmussen and Joseph Enzensberger. Good luck to both of you. Thanks for coming. I'd like to invite up our candidates for the county commissioner position 3. That's John Neal and Lloyd Caton. Okay, welcome John Neal and Lloyd Caton, neither of whom are incumbents in this position for county commissioner. Okay, we'll get started with 2-minute opening remarks. And John, if you wouldn't mind starting, thank you.
All right, welcome everybody. Thank you for allowing us to be up here and give you our views. My name is John Neal. I'm running for District 3 County Commissioner. I'm a lifelong resident of Okanagan County, Orville specifically. I've been in city government for the last 21 years, with the last 6 years as mayor. I've been married to my wife Tracy for 35 years. We have 3 kids, 6 grandkids. Did I do that right? Like I said, I've been in city politics for 21 years, been a member of the Orville Fire Department for 15 years. I'm on 3 different county boards already. Founding member of Orville Cares Coalition, which is a youth anti-drug education coalition. Being a lifelong resident of the community, I feel I have a kind of a feeling of the pulse of the community, what their needs are, what their wants are, and hopefully what they will want in the future. Hopefully that's me. Moving on, I would be honored to be your county commissioner. It is a privilege. It is not only a job, but it is our opportunity to do what you want us to do. So we are a servant of the people, and I want to be, I guess, if you want to say that, a servant of all of you. So that being said, I do feel like I have enough experience, probably more experience than my opponent. And I would like to carry that experience on at the next level. I have had relationships with the local sheriff's department. I actually helped rebuild our police department. Scary as it seems, I was our chief for close to 6 months with no reason for that to be happening. But anyway, thank you very much.
Thank you, John. Lloyd, 2 minutes.
Well, good evening. Is this too loud? Are we okay?
Fine.
Good evening. I'm Lloyd Caton Jr. I'm a candidate for county, for county commissioner from District 3 in North Okanagan County. Okanagan County is near and dear to me. My family's been here. I'm 4th generation, and my grandchildren are generation number 6 in the Tenasket area. I do have some experience in the past working with things. I like to hang my hat on one accomplishment that I managed while I was on the school board for 12 years. We managed to change state law. It started at a board meeting one night, and we were talking about race to the top from Obama and No Child Left Behind from George Bush, and Christine Gregoire was wanting us to participate. And I said, well, maybe if they give us our timber dollars, we can. And so at our board meeting that night, we put forth a proposal to WASDA. I had to present that proposal for 3 years to the legislative committee of WASDA. And WASDA is the Washington State School Directors Association. And after 3 years of presenting to them and 2 or 3 years working with the state legislators, we finally got the law changed that the Office of Superintendent of Public Instruction could no longer withhold your timber dollars that every school in this county receives. They could no longer deduct that from your basic education allowance that Lonnie talked about earlier, that every kid's worth $18,000. Well, here in Okanagan County, your timber dollar schools, your kid was worth $18,000 less, whatever the timber dollars were. They take that money away from you. And I'm very proud of that accomplishment. It took 5 or 6 years. It's a process. And as county commissioner, I think I know how to do the process. People want decisions sometimes right now. And when you make knee-jerk decisions, sometimes those don't turn out very well in the long term. But it's a process. I encourage you to vote for me. I've had lots of experience on the school board, fair board, worked with people all over this county to put on the fair and help with the schools. And I just appreciate the fact that I'm here, and we thank you for the invitation. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. That's the easy part. Now the questions. We'll start with you, Lloyd. There are growing concerns about the future of water availability in the county, changing rain and snow patterns, and need for conservation, ensuring water availability for future growth, and potential for permanent loss of water by selling water rights to entities outside the county. What steps would you take to address and resolve these concerns?
Well, probably everybody in this room will agree with me. I don't like to see water rights sold downstream. I really do not like that. But I'm also a personal and property rights person. If you have a water right and you own that water, it's yours to do what you want with it. If you want to sell it downstream, you can. I'm not going to like it. I'm going to try to discourage you from doing that. I'm going to look for ways to keep the water here, but I will not, as county commissioner, trample on your rights that you have with your property. That being said, maybe there's a possibility, you know, we're creating water banks and we're doing WIRA studies, water inventory resource area studies all over the county. And maybe there's a way in the future that the county could maybe, you know, purchase some of that water and keep it in the water banks here so that we have it for development for homes and everything else in small industry and light industry. But boy, that's a process that will take a lot of time. Thank you.
Same question.
As Lloyd said, don't think anybody wants to see our water rights leave our area. There are ways to potentially lease the rights out rather than sell them, so we have the opportunity to retain them at some point in the future, depending on what that contract says. Water banks are an option. They are expensive, and I don't know if the county at this point has the funds to fund them, but I would imagine with proper negotiation with the state and possibly the feds, we can get some money to make that happen. That being said, as Lloyd said, I am a property rights person also. It is your choice to outright sell them. I completely disagree with that because it potentially makes it almost impossible to do anything in our local area with that water right gone, whether that be housing, industry, agriculture, whatever it may be. Without water, it pretty much puts us at a standstill. Thank you.
That leg shirt comes up in a hurry, doesn't it?
It does. Sometimes it's good, sometimes not.
You've done a good job.
You can extend your time 30 seconds if you want to use a rebuttal to rebut yourself.
I don't even want to argue with me tonight.
Okay, the second question. There was substantial public support during comprehensive plan hearings for dividing the county into sub-areas with citizen advisory groups to advise the Planning Commission on land use issues. This is due to the fact that we have such a large and diverse county. Do you have any comments regarding the current process of forming these citizen advisory groups? And do you think their recommendations are likely to be of value? Start with you, John.
I definitely think that the citizens advisory groups are an important aspect to every group. I mean, every community, the entire county. Nobody knows the local area better than the people that live there. That being said, you still have to follow all the rules and guidelines set forth by the state, county, even your local guidelines. Some of those are not fun. Some of them are ridiculous. A lot of them are set up by people from the dark side, if you want to call it that. And they don't particularly apply to us because our climate is so different than theirs. But that being said, yes, I would totally be on board with a community group trying to help advise us on what actions need to be taken. That is a very complicated process, and there are so many guidelines and rules that a person would have to follow dealing with water quality and such, that I think that would be a great idea. Thank you.
Thank you, Lloyd.
I think the advisory groups could be a very important part of the process. We have the comp plan and it outlines, it has outlines and rules on how we develop land and how we manage land here in this county. The Medhow is different than the Okanagan Valley. The Okanagan Valley is different than the Okanagan Highlands. We have 3 different areas, but we're still all Okanagan County residents. I would encourage and I would desire input from all 3 of these subgroups and these regional planning areas, but I would be somewhat reluctant to let each part of the county take off on their own path, because you'd probably see some things that you thought were really good and some things that you thought weren't so good, but we still are a county. We need to work together and take in everybody's ideas and suggestions and make smart, good choices. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. The next question to you, Lloyd. First, the commissioners have substantially reduced the number of hours of public meetings for the Board of County Commission. At the same time, the number of pressing issues have increased. What are your views on this topic? and on the requirement for transparency?
As a county commissioner, that will be my full-time job. I will look for ways to communicate with people and give people the opportunity to communicate with us and attend our meetings. Transparency is so important, and there's all kinds of ways to do it. There's Zoom meetings, you can get the commissioner minutes on the internet, on the website. But I would think with what's going on in the county now, with all the issues that we have, that, you know, maybe the commissioners need to look at working a few more hours and be a little more available to you. There's a quote that I really like from President Grover Cleveland. It says, "As elected officials, we are agents of the people. We're not your masters." So we're here to serve you and work for you, and we'll figure out a way to get you more involved.
Thank you. John?
I totally agree that if the job requires more hours, we are being paid to put in those hours. I personally would be available anytime, pretty much 24 hours a day. That most people know how to get a hold of me, whether it be email, phone, whatever it may be. But the county commissioners currently work Mondays and Tuesdays with an optional Wednesday. I mean, if the issues are there, then that Wednesday should be a mandatory thing, not an option. And I'm more than willing to put in whatever hours are needed to take care of the issues that we have. That being said, I'm only one of 3 commissioners. We all have to agree on that. We got to make sure everybody else that is involved in the commissioner process is available for that. But I am more than willing to put in whatever hours, whatever time is needed. Thank you.
Okay, next question. Speak to you, John. First, the condition of our county jail was discussed by the sheriff candidates at the last forum here. There's a dire need for renovation. Tell us what you know about the current status and what plans are in progress. And how much of a priority for you will this be in the upcoming budget?
Well, first off, I definitely think it should be a major priority. We all know what crime is in this valley right now. And unfortunately, due to lack of staffing and many other issues, the jail is very limited on what the numbers of people they can take. The jail is due for many major renovations. I think that's all in the plan. From talking to Sheriff Hawley and some others, that is a process that we are currently undertaking, but COVID did its thing to that, like many other things. Like I said, staffing is a major issue, and it's one of those things that I think eventually will get taken care of once numerous other things fall into place. But it definitely is a priority and needs to happen as soon as we can make it happen.
Well, I think the jail was built in 1984, and my dad helped build it. The jail's getting kind of old and obsolete, and it needs some renovations with the current state laws and regulations for how you handle prisoners with drug problems, mental problems, and all that. And the jail probably is insufficient now to meet the needs, right, Tony? And I think that a new jail, or at least a updated, renovated jail, is of very high importance. And I think we need to explore options there. There's other counties nearby that are facing the same problems. And I've heard talk from Paul and from Tony, from your current sheriff, Tony, that maybe a regional jail, maybe we have 2 or 3 counties go in partners and we try to build something that will handle the load. And we do it in a partnership cooperative that we can put the people in jail that need to be there. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Next question. Lloyd, the annual budget is a critical part of all the goals of accomplishing the needs and wants of our citizens. The document for the 2022 budget is a whopping 156 pages. What will be your top priorities? Please be specific. And what is your experience with policy governance of large budgets?
Well, I'm going to quote my old buddy Jerry. He spoke to you earlier. I also served on the NAS school board for 12 years, and it's a policy governance system, and that's how you design and build your budget. Priorities for me in our budget is, I believe infrastructure in this county is very important. We got to be able to get our goods to market. We got to be able to get the tourists here to spend their dollars. We have to be able to get people to get to work and get home. Also, public safety, law and justice. And for me, those would probably be my top 3 items: public safety, law and justice, and infrastructure. And then you negotiate and you talk and you work with all your department heads and you hammer out something that hopefully will work for everyone. Thank you.
Like I said in my opening statement, I have been in municipal government for the last 21 years, which is a multi-million-dollar policy-based government. I'm also the chairman of Orville Cares Coalition, which is a federal granted coalition, and we write the policies and do the budgeting for that. That being said, public safety is probably, for me, priority number 1. If the people of the county do not feel comfortable, do not feel safe, a lot of the other things really don't matter, because they're not going to want to leave their homes, not want to go to the store, do all the stuff that we want them to do. Roads are a crucial thing. Okanagan County has over 10,000 miles of road. A lot of that is county owned. Maintaining that is a challenge. And just tourism, I think, is probably another thing I would try to promote, get as many people here we can take their dollars to help support our wants and needs. Thank you.
Okay. John's question starts with you. Please describe what you know about how our commissioners have dealt with the behavioral health crisis. Is the support of Okanagan behavioral health care adequate? And what changes would you make, if any?
I know all the commissioners are part of the health board, and they are supporting behavioral health as much as they can. Currently, do I feel it's adequate? No. They do not have anybody on staff that can do a non-voluntary committal, which some people sometimes need. You can ask law enforcement. They have numerous instances where they find somebody with mental health issues that's combated. There's really almost nothing they can do about that. That being said, talking to behavioral health, I think they have 2 people in process to be certified to do that. And I think looking long-term, they are going down the right path, and I think all the commissioners are in support of that. I've talked to the director a couple times, and I think everybody's on the same page. With the proper people in place and the right policies, we can make big steps in improving the situation we have.
I visited with Bruce, the director of Okanagan County Behavioral Health Care, and I had a real nice visit with him. And I think that there's more that the county can do when it comes to the mental health. But I'm not sure, as your commissioner, that I want to get into the mental health business. I might support what's already there. But here in Okanagan County, we got about 1 million acres of private land. Our tax base is not huge. And I would be very reluctant to create another department, agency, or bureaucracy that are historically inefficient to handle the mental health care problem that we have. I would look for ways to support and improve what we have already. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. The next question, Lloyd. What do you think is the best solution to the lack of affordable housing in our county?
Boy, if I had the answer to that question. I think the best solution, I'm a guy that's, I'm not anti-government, but I believe that private industry can always do the job better than the government can. And my solution for the homeless or the housing shortage would to be find a way to have investors come in and build housing that would be more affordable to these lower income people. And there's lots of ways to do that. You can do it through HUD, you can do it through Section 8, you can find private investors. Maybe the county can expedite and cheapen some of the fees that we collect in the building process. But, you know, I'm gonna say this about housing, like I did mental health. I don't have time. I don't think the county wants to be in the housing business. We need to let private industry do that for us somehow. Thank you.
I agree with Lloyd that the private sector should be the majority stakeholder in the housing. The county has a lot of ways they can assist in that, whether it be through simplified planning, creating the infrastructure to do that. There's our Senate House Bill 1406, which can take our state excise tax dollars and it's specifically put in place for housing. So it doesn't increase our local taxes. We use what the entire state is paying to help finance what we want and what we need. As Lloyd said, I do believe there could possibly be investors. We have had a couple around the Okanagan area, private companies that have came in and invested, and I think those have worked out well. Trying to find a location and the right type of clientele where it's needed is a challenge. Thank you.
Okay, thanks. Next question, John. Which communities do you understand to be the most marginalized and underrepresented in our county? And how do you plan to serve and listen to these communities?
Well, that's kind of the platform I'm running on, is to try to give at least the north end of the county a bigger voice in our county government. That being said, I hear the same words from people in the Met-How that we're both, pardon the pun, but just kind of like the redheaded stepchild of the county. So if you're not centrally located in around the county seat, I think a lot of us feel like we're forgotten. I want to eliminate that, at least in the north end, but I will be the representative for the entire county. So I don't want you to think it'll fall on deaf ears. If you have a problem, I'm more than willing to listen and talk to you. That being said, that like I said, that is my platform, is to give the north end at least a bigger voice, and I'm more than willing to give the Met-How that same voice.
Would you repeat that?
Yes. Which communities do you understand to be the most marginalized and underrepresented in our county? And how do you plan to serve and listen to these communities?
Well, I'm gonna go a slightly different direction. I think maybe our Hispanic communities and our Indian communities, our Native American people, aren't very well represented. Excuse me, aren't very well represented sometimes in county government. And to help them feel less marginalized and get them more involved as county commissioner, I'm gonna have to go visit them. I'm gonna have to go find out what their wants and needs are, what their fears are, why aren't they participating, and how can I help you? Because, you know, we're one big county, we're huge. You know, there's 3 million acres, 5,500 square miles in Okanagan County. And we have, like we mentioned earlier, we have so many subgroups of people here in the county. You got the Met-How, the Main Valley, the Okanagan Highlands, you got the reservation. This county is a very diverse county. And the groups that feel marginalized, we need to reach out to them, because maybe some of them are afraid to reach out to us. And as county commissioner, I'll do that.
Okay, thank you. That is the end of our formal questions. So Lloyd, you have the.
That's a good thing. That's a good
You
thing.
have the floor for closing remarks. 1 minute. Unless you raise your paddle, you can make it a minute and a half.
Yeah. Anyway, I want to thank everybody for coming tonight, and thank you for having us up here. And I really appreciate the Grange. The Grange has a long history in being involved in politics. And the Grange started after the Civil War sometime. And back in the late 1800s and early 1900s, if you were a politician wanting to run for office, you visited the Grange, and you visited every Grange you could get to. So thank you for having me here. I look forward to serving you folks as a county commissioner from District 3, and I'll listen. And I want a chance to serve you. I want a chance to serve you and work for you. And if you vote for me on November 8th, we'll give her a shot and try to get her done. And I just thank you so much for having me up here tonight. Thank you.
I'd also like to thank you all for turning out. I know we all have busy schedules. I have a 2-hour drive to go home. Lonnie's got farther. But no, it is amazing to come to these and see the faces and see the turnout. Everyone I've gone to has been bigger and bigger and bigger. So that is impressive. It's nice to know that you people actually are interested in what we have to say and what we're doing or what potentially we're doing. So I would be honored to be your next county commissioner, and I would do whatever I can to make your voices heard at a county level. Thank you.
Thanks, John Neal and Lloyd Caton. Good luck to both of you. Let's ask the candidates for county coroner to come forward. Take your seats. That's Jeannie Hughes and Dave Rodriguez. Okay, good luck. Good luck. Thank you. Okay, we'll get started. We have two candidates here for the county coroner position. Jeannie Hughes and Dave Rodriguez. Start out with your 2-minute opening remarks. Jeannie, if you wouldn't mind starting.
Okay. Thank you all for being here, and thank the Grange for inviting us to be here tonight. My name is Rogine Hughes, but I do go by Jeannie. I am the 9th child of 10 children growing up. There are 7 of us children still living. My parents have also passed away, as has my first husband has passed away. The first death notification I've ever given was to my own 2 children, the day before our daughter's 11th birthday, and our son was 12 years old when their father passed away. It is not an easy thing to do to give a death notification to any family member, especially when it's your own children, but it is part of the job that we do as a coroner. It is giving a death notification. I have a wonderful husband. My first husband was a Gulf War veteran. My current husband is a disabled Vietnam veteran. We have been building our life together for 32 years. We are extremely happy to be here in the Okanagan. And Eneas Valley is where we live. We have 3 wonderful children. 2 are mine, and a third one adopted us 30-some years ago. He adopted us, and he's been our son ever since. He has given us 5 wonderful grandchildren, and our daughter has given us a beautiful granddaughter. I have been an EMT and also a deputy coroner in Ferry County for 20 years. I have a lot of experience coming into this position, and I have a lot of training over that time and have made a lot of connections with other coroners, medical examiners, and just different people in the business. So vote for me, Jeannie Hughes.
Thank you. Dave?
Thank you. 8 years ago, you elected me as your first Okanagan County coroner, and I believe you elected me because I brought the correct balance of investigative experience with 25 years in law enforcement and medical knowledge of 13 years with emergency medicine. I had the pleasure tonight of walking here from my house, which I live just down the road. So I'm a beginner local. I've been here 33 years. There's 3 steps of local in case you didn't know, and I'm just at beginner stage. 8 years ago, I promised you when I was running and when I was elected that I would work with fire, EMS, law enforcement, obviously, local medical professionals, elected officials, to build a professional quality coroner's office. And turns out it was not a hard promise to keep. I found out right away that I needed all those people. And over the past 8 years, I've really developed a solid working relationship. In fact, there are a lot of them here in this room. There are cops and nurses. There are elected officials and a few volunteer firefighters. And I believe that I've kept that promise as your county coroner for these past 8 years. I think tonight's challenge is to review all the information that we're going to talk about tonight, but we'll also be here afterwards and can answer specific questions. Thank you.
Okay, thank you both. We'll start with the questions. First one for you, Dave. The workload of the coroner has significantly increased, estimated up to 35% in the last 3 years. Is there a need for a deputy coroner? And how would you propose that a deputy position could be funded?
I absolutely think we've reached the point. For 8 years, I've tried to shoulder the primary job duties as a coroner by myself. I do have a couple of people that will fill in for me in certain circumstances, but I'm the only paid coroner employee, full-time employee with the coroner's office. We have seen, as you mentioned, a significant increase in caseload. And I've also recognized during the pandemic that it's not good to have an office of one. There's no depth. I really feared during the pandemic that, if I were to concoct the COVID virus, that if I went down, there's no depth. So it's important to have a deputy coroner. I have a meeting with the county commissioners on the 24th of this month to propose that. Thank you.
Thank you. Same question, Jean. Jeannie?
I have been saying all along in my campaign that there needs to be more than one person working in the coroner's office. I actually propose that there needs to be at least 2. There needs to be one here in the Methow area. There needs to be one down in the Brewster Pateras area. And I live up in the Eneas Valley area, so I live up in the north. There needs to be 3 in separate parts of the county so that response time to a scene is not 4 hours, as it has taken Mr. Rodriguez on some of his calls that I have been getting reports from EMS. So there needs to be more coroners, deputy coroners in the office, and I have been saying that all along in my campaign.
Dave had a rebuttal.
Yes, sir. The response time issue has come up before. This is the largest county geographically in the state. To drive from Lost River, Mazama to Cooley Dam or Eneas Valley, the drive alone is 2+ hours. I'm not sure this 4-hour thing came up with, but it may be the case where I was on a call in Mazama and then get a call up at Loomis. But the response time is a challenge, and adding more people, it would cut down the response time, but that's a big burden of money. Personnel is the highest part of a budget. So
Okay, thank you.
I'm colorblind.
We have a bell
When
too.
she waves it.
Okay, next question, start with Jeannie. How do you balance the requirement to investigate unexpected death with the emotional needs and shock of family and loved ones?
I will usually ask the family to step outside while death is being investigated, just so that they are not seeing that, because it is hard on them to watch an investigation go on. But I also do understand that. I have had that experience in my own life, and I do understand that you want to be there. Family wants to be there. They want to be a part of it. And so I weigh each situation with the family and talking with them and getting to know them before I will do the investigation, just so I can see if they should ask, do I think that they would be able to handle it?
Dave?
When a death occurs, previously I was an EMT, and you're sent to the scene and you try and help whatever emergency medical situation that's happening. When I'm sent there as a coroner, a death has happened. I can't change that. The only thing I can offer families is answers. So the only way I can get answers is to investigate. I take the time to explain to people that we have an unknown situation often, and I'm going to do my best to find out what's happened so I can provide you answers, because that's the only thing I can give you. And I think it's necessary, and families, I've not run into a family that didn't agree with that, that line of logic.
Thank you. Next question. First for you, Dave. Have you ever been responsible for instructing a crime scene investigation class or other related types of classes for law enforcement or other professional organizations?
Yes, I have. I teach crime scene recognition and evidence collection to the search and rescue. We have a volunteer search and rescue corps here in the county that's very robust, and they're called on often to assist law enforcement in evidence searches and scenes and securing scenes, but they also, in their job of searching for people, often run into things inadvertently. So one of the classes that I teach is specifically that, is evident or crime scene recognition, and then crime scene evidence preservation.
Jeannie?
Almost sounds like you planted that question.
I just showed up today. I didn't plan anything.
Somebody wanted to
I didn't
know.
like that answer.
I have not taught crime scene investigations. I have been a first aid CPR instructor. I have taught other classes with search and rescue, incident command classes, a variety of classes with a search and rescue, actually some along with Dave, when I was involved in search and rescue here in Okanagan County. I have been an instructor of many different things, but crime scene, no, but I have taken several classes on it.
Okay, thanks. The next question, as coroner, in what ways would you exert leadership in the community? Jeannie?
Exerting leadership in the community is, part of it is being involved in your community. And I am very involved in my community. I am a part of the Scouts. I am a instructor for the Scouts, teaching all levels of their training that they need. I am involved in the youth cheerleading, Tenasket Youth Cheerleading Program, and helping those girls out. And that program has grown from 2 to 28 girls. And we're very proud of that group of families in that organization. I am also involved in the American Legion Auxiliary and the Eagles Auxiliary. And being a part of all of these things helps you to be a leader, and it helps you to teach. I'm helping to teach other leaders to be a part of their communities.
It's kind of an odd question, the county coroner being a leader. But I too am involved with groups within the county. I'm on the Opioid Crisis Coalition, as well as the Youth Suicide Prevention Coalition. One thing I do is I provide leadership at the scene. When I'm called to a scene and the death is possibly criminal in nature, I've been around so long. I was the chief deputy with the sheriff's office, and there are a lot of new cops out there. And I provide my leadership on how to properly investigate a criminal scene, possibly a homicide scene, with law enforcement on scene.
Okay, the next question has to do with autopsies. The question is, are they or are they not performed in Okanagan County? And if not, why not? Dave?
Yes, sir. Autopsies currently are contracted with Snohomish County, which is a premier medical examiner's facility outside of Everett. They have a team of pathologists. They have a team of autopsy technicians. They have state-of-the-art equipment. Previously, we had traveling pathologists that I would have to take a case to Central Washington Hospital. There is not a certified autopsy suite or morgue in Okanagan County. You currently cannot do an autopsy in our county. The closest is to get to Central Washington Hospital. But it doesn't make sense to have the very few pathologists travel to you when you can bring your case to a premier facility. And by the way, the cost to take them there, including travel costs, is less than what I was paying when we would do them in Wenatchee.
Judy, same question.
They are not done in Okanagan County. They are taken to Snohomish County. I have connections with other pathologists that are closer, as in Spokane County, that have said that they would love to work with me when I am elected in November and starting in January, that they would love to work with me and be able to do autopsies in Spokane County rather than going all the way over to Snohomish County, which would cost less in travel pay for any cases.
Thank you, Dave.
So currently, I'm not sure what they promised you, but currently Spokane County will not allow us to take cases there. And they are double, when they were allowing us, they are double the cost. This topic seems odd to me that we're discussing, it's a few $100s cheaper here, a few $100s cheaper there in gas. I'm going to the premier facility of Snohomish County. You can't get any better than that. I think you want the best job done, not saving a few pennies on gas.
Okay, thank you. That's actually all the formal questions we have. So Dave, if you could give your closing remarks first.
Okay. Other than that one, I guess, there's not that many hot button issues in the coroner's race here. The other folks we listened to tonight, there's plenty of things for you to think about, and there's differences between one candidate and the next. Here tonight, I think I would like to suggest that it's much simpler. It's more of a job performance assessment. I've been your corner for 8 years. There are people in this room that I've worked with. Unfortunately, there are also families in this room that I've needed my service. So if you're not sure if I've done a good job or not, seek out one of those people, someone who's in a first responder or a family, and ask them if I've done a good job. And whatever they say, I'm totally at peace that whatever advice they give you and you follow that by either voting for me or someone else, then I think it'll all work out. Thank you.
Thank you, Jeannie.
I would love to be the next corner of Okanagan County. Mr. Rodriguez has stated several times that he wants to retire. He did not file at the appropriate times because he planned on retiring. And even in your local paper here said that I was a very qualified candidate and wished me all the best in the election because he was going to retire from this position. He made a video with Okanagan Public Health, also in that video, stating several times that he wanted to retire from this position. We should let him do that. We should let him retire. He's been here for 8 years. And vote for me, Jeannie Hughes, for Okanagan County Coroner. You can't replace
I won't allow
I
the
don't want to retire.
I won't allow the rebuttal, but Dave and Jeannie and all the other candidates have said they can stick around a little bit. So if you have direct questions for anybody, please stick around and talk to them. Thank you, Dave Rodriguez, Jeannie Hughes. Good luck. And that's going to wrap up our forum for this evening. Thanks again to the Grange for all the work that you've done to make this happen. Thanks to the candidates, and thanks to all of you. Have a safe evening. Thank you.